Alright, so what is up guys? In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a QR/code scanner, and this essentially works with any QR code and many different kinds of barcodes. So the first thing that's going to happen is the app is going to ask you for a runtime permission. It's going to ask you if it can use your camera to record some video, and you will say okay. And as soon as you say okay to that, it will open up the camera and it will tell you to scan something. And as soon as you go over some QR codes, it will scan it and it will tell you the contents of the QR code. And this also works with barcodes, as you can see over here. And also if we go back to another QR code, it will continuously change between the codes. And another feature of this app is the ability to turn on the flashlight from within the app in case we don't have enough light to scan what we need. And of course, in the top left-hand corner, we have an autofocus button. So now it is set to autofocus, which makes it a lot easier for the app to actually concentrate on the barcode or the QR code it needs to. But with that being said, we can jump straight into Android Studio and get started immediately by first adding the dependency. So the first thing we want to do is go to our build.gradle file, and then right down here where it says dependencies is where we are going to insert our dependency. But first we need to retrieve that dependency. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a dependency that comes from GitHub, and this is called Code Scanner by Yuri Budiev. And it has a list of supported formats, so you can check that out before actually following through with this tutorial, just in case there is a format you need. And then it will give you the README file with the usages, and it is both in Kotlin and in Java. So in case you're a Java freak, you can definitely learn how to use this in Java separately. But in this video, I'm going to be going over how to do it in Kotlin. So the main thing we have to retrieve from here is this implementation, but it also has a very kind reminder that tells us to also add the permission for the camera to our manifest file, and also that we have to create a dynamic permission request after API level 23. But anyway, once we have copied this implementation, we can go ahead and paste it right in our Gradle file, right there, and click on sync now. Perfect. And as soon as that has finished the sync, we can go to our manifest file and add this permission. So we're going to go straight to the top right on the package and type in users permission, Android permission camera, and add a closing tag. Now we can go to our res file and click on layout and click on activity main XML and split straight to our split view so we can see the preview while we type in some code. And the first thing we want to do in here is change this constraint layout to a relative layout. And immediately under that, we can delete this text view because we want to add our code scanner first, and we will type in code scanner and it will give you this one right here. And we are going to give the width a match parent and the height 400 dp. So it covers approximately half the screen, although this may vary depending on what device you decide to run this program on. And then let's give it an ID, and we're going to call it ID scanner underscore view. And then there is an app attribute that we have to add, and that's going to be called autofocus color. And we are just going to use Android at color white. Then we have to add app autofocus button visible and set that to true so we can actually see it when we run the app. And then we need to also add the flash. So we're going to add app flash button color, and we're going to set that also to white. And then we need to add the same thing that we've added for the focus button, flash button visible, and set that to true. Now the last thing we have to do here is add a mask color. And for this one, just pick any color, it doesn't matter yet, because then we're just going to go and click right here and click on custom. And we can pick on a black, except let's just make this a bit transparent. So as you can see, it will record whatever is in the background. This is essentially an entire camera view, but it looks really nice when you have this faded out on the side. So do something like that, make it kind of transparent, and it will look nice. And then right below this, I'm going to go ahead and paste in a text view from earlier. And this is a text view with an ID of TV underscore text view with wrap content and wrap content. And then I added the attribute layout below, the ID scanner underscore view, so it appears right below it. And then I set center horizontal to true, and I gave it a layout margin of 20 dp with a text of scan something and a text color of black, so you can actually see it with some nice contrast. And that's actually all we have to do in our activity underscore main.xml. Then we can go to our main activity Kotlin file. So let's just close this res folder and go to main activity. And we can finally get started with writing the actual code. So the first thing we are going to do in here is add a constant. So we're going to write private constant val, and this is going to be our camera request code. And we're going to equal that to 101. Then right under the class, we need to create a private late init var named code scanner, which is going to be of type code scanner. Then down here, we are going to create a function that allows us to use our code scanner. So we're going to write code scanner, and we're going to create a block. Then let's just call it inside main activity so we don't forget to do that later. And the first thing we have to do in here is initialize code scanner. So we're going to write code scanner is equal to code scanner, and it's going to take the context of this, and then we need to insert our scanner view from our XML file. And right after we have initialized it, we are going to type in code scanner dot apply, and inside here the first thing we want to do is tell it which side of the camera we want it to use. So we're going to go camera, and that's going to be equal to code scanner dot camera back, so we can see exactly what's in front of us when we want to scan a code. Then let's get the formats, and we are going to equal that to code scanner dot all formats. Otherwise you can specify which ones you want. Then we are going to take the autofocus mode, and then we are going to describe it as autofocus mode dot safe, and this means that it will try to autofocus at fixed intervals. Otherwise you have the continuous keyword, which tries to make it work continuously, but this does not work on all the devices, so I'm going to just stick with safe for now. And then we're going to go ahead and type in scan mode, and we're going to do scan mode dot continuous, so it will continuously try to scan and find the barcodes. Otherwise it might stop every now and then, and I just like this mode a lot more. And then down here we can actually take control of whether the autofocus is enabled or not. So we're going to first set it initially to true, and with is flash enabled, we are going to set that to false, because it would be weird to start a new app and have the flash already running. And then we have to go ahead and add a few callbacks. So the first one we want to add is the decoder callback, and this is going to tell you what happens when it decodes something. So we're going to type in equals decoder callback, and inside here you write what you want it to do. But most importantly, we want it to run on the UI thread. And then we want to get our text view and set the text to the text that it has successfully decoded from the barcode or the QR code. So we'll just set that to it.text, and it refers to the result, so that is great. And then we will add another callback, and this one will be an error callback in case something goes wrong, and that will equal an error callback. And inside here, we also want that to run on the UI thread. We will just log that something went amiss. Log E, and we'll give it a tag of main, and we should import log. And then we will just insert this message here, which says camera initialization error, and it gives you the error message. And also down here, just in case you decide to set this to anything else that is not continuous, you have to manually add a scannerview.setOnClickListener, and inside here add codescanner.startPreview. And this will tell the program that you actually want to start scanning for a new QR code, because on continuous, it will do this continuously, but if you set this to any other parameter such as single, you will have to continuously click on the screen for it to register that you are trying to scan a new code. So it's good to have this here if it is not on continuous. Otherwise, you can just skip it. And that should take care of the code scanner part. Then we should add a few lifecycle methods. So first one we are going to override is on resume. So inside on resume, we are just going to allow it to do what it usually does by calling super.onResume. And then right below that, we are going to write code scanner.start preview. This means when you leave the app and you come back to the app, it will try to fetch a new QR code. And this is also in case you do not have the continuous mode set on your scan mode. And of course, this can lead to the usage of valuable resources. So every time we exit the app, we want to release the resources that this camera app has decided to create. So let's go ahead and type in on pause. And inside here, we're just going to type in code scanner.release resources. And that should help us avoid memory leaks. And this is all you have to do to run the code scanner on devices that run on API level 23 and below. But of course, if you have a device that runs on any API level that's above 23, you are not going to have any camera show up on the screen because it requires you to have the runtime permission. And of course, I will show you how to create that runtime permission. So the first thing we want to do is right under all of these functions, we can just go below and type in private function called set up permissions. And we have to create a permission in here. So it's going to be value permission, and that's going to be equal to context compat.check self permission. And it's going to take the context of this. And we also have to enter the permission we wanted to check. So we'll type in android.manifest.permission.camera. And right below, we have to write the check that tells us exactly whether the user has accepted it or not and what to do depending on their action. So let's type in if permission is not equal to package manager.permission granted, then we are going to ask them to make the request. So we're going to create a new function which is called make request, and we will take care of this error immediately below. So right below down here, we can do private function make request, and inside we're going to write activity compat.request permissions, and it's going to take this as the context. Then we have to create an array of permissions that we want to check for. And we can go ahead and copy the first permission that we created up here. So it's the permission of the camera, and we need to insert the constant value that we created at the top, which is the camera request code. And right below, we want to override on request permissions result. And this will give us the result of whatever happened here when we made the request. So we can just delete this super call and add a line that says when request code, and when that is equal to camera request code, we will tell it to do the following. So let's create a block, and right below inside this block, we will type in if grant results is empty, or grant results at the index of 0 is not equal to package manager dot permission granted. Then we will probably ask the user to think again. So we're just going to create a toast with the context of this that says you need the camera permission to be able to use this app. So it will tell the user that. Else we can just write it was a successful request, so we don't have to do anything. I just put a note in there just to make sure I understand what it does later. And the final thing to do is to go up to the top and implement our setup permissions function. So each time we start the app, it will check whether the permission has been granted. And if it has been granted, it will skip straight away to the code scanner and let us use the code scanner. Otherwise, it will tell the user that they cannot use the app because they decided to reject the permission. And if the user wants to use the app, they would have to close it and reopen it to accept the permission again. Of course, you can add some additional code along with the toast to tell the users that they can click on this additional button in case they still want to request the permission inside the app rather than restarting the app. But that's beyond the scope of this video. So we are just going to go ahead and click on play and see what we have created. So the first thing that will happen when you open the app, it will say, do you want this app to be able to take pictures and record video? And you will say, okay. And as soon as you say okay, the camera will activate and it will allow you to actually start scanning some QR codes. And since it is set on continuous, it will do everything automatically. And you just have to continuously move it around. And then if we click on the light symbol, it will activate the lights. And we can also set the autofocus off. So if we zoom in, it won't do anything because you decided to do it manually. But you can fix that just by tapping on the screen. And yeah, that's actually all I wanted to show you guys in this video. It was as simple as that. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If it was useful to you, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment in the comment section below, or even just leaving a like. It all helps to support this channel. But as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.